Hey guys, Mac here of Bound for Nowhere. This is our third and final video in our series covering our time on the John Muir Trail. If you have not seen part 1 and 2, we recommend that you go back and give those a watch before starting this one. If you're ready for part 3, here it is. Enjoy.
Hey guys, day 11 is complete. So to touch on a note from yesterday, we did not freeze overnight. It was actually quite possibly one of the warmest nights we've had. So being up at over 11,000 feet really was not bad. In fact, it was gorgeous. It was very mild. I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. The moon was out and the stars were out. It was delightful. So I'm just gonna run down all of the stats real fast and then we'll talk about the day. So today we were on trail for 10 hours and 56 minutes. And according to my watch, we did 14.31 miles, but on the map we did about 17 miles. But there wasn't a tremendous amount of snow and we didn't miss a tremendous amount of switchbacks. So I'm not really sure how much we did in there. Our highest point was 12,047 feet. Our low point was 8,589 feet. We ascended 2,270 feet and descended 5,144 feet. So last night we camped just below Mather, about a mile down off of Mather Pass. So we had the entire descent from Mather and then the entire ascent up to Pincho. We've heard people call it Pincho and Pino, and we're calling it Pincho. So in the entire ascent up to Pincho. So when we started to go down, it was super mild. We saw 3 bucks. It was really beautiful. The sunrise was really nice because again, we were up at 5. And then we had heard about a river crossing that was at the lowest point in between Mather and Pincho that we were pretty nervous about, and we had heard that where the trail actually crosses the river is super dangerous. And so when we got down a good ways, we were about a mile and a half away from that water crossing, and there was actually a sign from a national parks ranger, and this is specifically for the Kings River crossing. We read the sign and it said that it was better to cross at that sign and just follow along the river south until we met up with the trail. So we decided to go ahead and do that. Granted, it was dated the 13th and it is the 20th now. So that information's out of date, but the river was still raging. So we decided to cross there. It was split into 3 pieces. Each one was pretty mild. And then we had about a mile and a half just following the river down until we met back up with the trail. And it was super mild. It was easy to follow. I will say that I'm glad that we made the decision that we did, because when we met back up with the trail, we met a guy who was filling up his water and he was asking if we did the detour. We did, and apparently he didn't and tried to cross at some random spot, and he actually went in, fell and went under. So he was drying out, really thankful that he was all right, and I'm also thankful that we did not do that crossing because it seriously was so sketchy. That whole river is whitewater for the most part. There's still just so much snow melting in the area, so I imagine it's probably going to be like that for a while. So from there we did our climb all the way up to Pincho, which was pretty mild. Would you say that it was the easiest pass that we've done? I would say it's the easiest pass that we've done. It was really not that bad. There wasn't a ton of snow coverage on either side of the pass, which was really nice. It was very steep at the very end and the very beginning of our descent down Pincho. And then we went all the way down to the lowest point before the climb tomorrow. What's the pass tomorrow?
Glen.
Up to Glen. So we're at the lowest possible point right now between Pincho and Glen. And there's this really awesome suspension bridge, footbridge, that only one person can cross at a time to get to our current camp spot. And we have a nice little view of it. It's a really beautiful spot on the river. But I will say the over 5,000 feet of downhill today was pretty excruciating. Owen and I both have swollen toes and ankles So when we got to camp today, we soaked our feet in the cold water for a little bit and hope that it will help for tomorrow, because I think tomorrow is going to be a pretty big day getting up the pass because we have nothing but uphill to do. But for dinner, let's see, we had pad thai, which was delicious and spicy, and I had an almond joy, and Owen had a Snickers almond bar for dessert. All right, see you tomorrow after day 12. Hey guys, end of day 12. Today was a long and challenging day, I would say, for sure. I will read some of the stats to you and then we'll go into detail. So we started at 5:56 this morning. I don't know if you've caught on to this, but our routine is we wake up at 5 and are on trail before 6. We like it because the light is really amazing and there's usually no one on trail, and it's cooler, significantly cooler. So it's really nice to knock out a lot of miles. So we started at 5:56. We hiked for 10 hours and 40 minutes. We covered 15 miles and 15.52 miles. Our highest elevation was 11,804 feet. Our lowest was 8,593 feet, which happens to be where we started. We ascended 4,961 feet, and we descended 2,749 feet. So yesterday, or no, that was today. This morning we started at the suspension bridge, which was really low and will be the lowest that we will be for the next couple of days, actually, until we finish the trail. And we had about, was it 9 miles? Yeah, 9 miles of uphill all the way until Glen Pass. And for 4 days now, I would say roughly, people have been telling us at Glen, take the middle route, and we're like, okay, cool. Don't really know what that means. But today we learned the mosquitoes were awful on the way up, but once we finally got up to the snow line, they kind of chilled out for a little bit. But the middle pass, because it's still holding a lot of snow on that side, on the southbound side of Glen Pass, there was a lot of snow up at the top, and there was 3 different tracks that people had taken, and so we took the middle one. There was good switchbacks for a while until we kind of just had to scramble up to that middle section, and it was really just crossing over to the pass because we were at the same elevation once we got up there. Nothing too challenging, but the lakes were really beautiful on both sides. I think that my favorite color is like any given alpine lake on this trail. It's been amazing to see all of these like tiny little lakes that nobody knows about that are just like tucked back here. But then we had 2,749 feet of downhill till we took our siesta around Bubbs Creek. The mosquitoes were atrocious. We tried to stop a couple of times and it just never really worked out for us. So we finally just had to call it and sat in direct sunlight to try to avoid them. But we had Vietnamese coffee and some pepperoni, some yogurt covered pretzels. It was awesome. Then when we got back on trail, we didn't have a whole ton of hiking left to do because we really did push pretty hard at the beginning of the day. We just had about 3 or 4 miles. And again, climbing back up the mountain because we're in the shadow of Forester Pass now. We wanted to give ourselves as much distance uphill today as possible while we rest, and then we can tackle it tomorrow morning. But the first camp spot that we stopped at, again, had so many mosquitoes and we just could not handle it. So we went about another mile, and they're not quite as bad, but we are in the tent, which means that there are mosquitoes. Otherwise, I think that we're feeling really good and really strong. I think I might have hyperextended my knee today, and so the back of my knee, like the tendon area, is really bothering me, but I'm hoping that a good night's rest will be plenty to get us back on trail and moving really quick. Otherwise, it's pretty amazing. I feel like all the other weird aches and pains that we had at the beginning of the trail have all kind of gone away, and now it's just feet aching, general wear and tear of doing 15 plus miles a day on trail. But for dinner, we had Mountain House breakfast skillet, which is such a crowd pleaser. It's so good. We were looking forward to it all day. And then we each had a Snickers almond bar for dessert, and we split a Twix because Owen had one extra dessert, and you know what? Everything you eat, you don't have to carry the next day. So we took it out with ease. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, end of day 13. This was kind of a weird day. It started off normal enough, and then things have only gotten weirder since then. But we'll start from the beginning and the stats. So here are our totals for the day. And unfortunately, I had to add up our totals because we kind of did today in two parts. So we were on trail for 8 hours and 52 minutes. We did 11.78 miles. Our highest elevation was 13,200 feet, which was Forester Pass. Sorry about that. And let's see. Our high, so I said our high, our low was 10,492 feet, which is where we currently are. And we ascended 2,819 feet, and we descended 3,359 feet. All right, so the day started off, we slept in a little bit because today was intentionally going to be a shorter mileage day, because between here and Mount Whitney, we need to set ourselves up to be able to do Mount Whitney for sunrise. So we have 2 days to kind of get all of that mileage done. So our goal today was to do, I don't know, I think that we were going to do about 10 miles today, maybe even a little bit less. But woke up and Forester Pass was our last official pass before doing Mount Whitney. We were only about 3 miles downhill from it. Granted, it was our highest pass yet. The 13,200 feet is pretty substantially higher than anything that we've done yet. But being that it was our last standalone pass alone, we kind of just took our time and really enjoyed the setting, and we took a lot of pictures, and we took our time going up it. It was really, really nice. It was very beautiful. Wasn't a ton of snow on either side, and we came over the pass at exactly 9 a.m. It was really nice, and then we just kind of easily came downhill and found a nice place to siesta. I think it was only at 10:30 when we finally did stop to make some coffee, but it was a really beautiful setting, and one of the most expansive views maybe that we've seen in a long time, because we've just been in these really narrow corridors of mountains. We could really start to see really far off, and kind of wanted to sit there and enjoy the view. And while we were enjoying our siesta, Owen and I started talking about our gear that we've been bringing with us on the trail, what we've liked, what we've disliked, what we would change, because we are going to eventually do a video about that. And one of the things that we noted was the fact that we brought a rain jacket and it has not rained. So we'll come back to that. So just a couple miles downhill from where we took our siesta, we stopped at about, was it 3 p.m. I think it was? Stopped at 3 p.m. at this little, it was kind of a bald. It was very strange, but there was a little waterway there, and we stopped and we're going to spend the night there. And we kept noting how beautiful the clouds were and how abundant they were, because there really hasn't been a ton of clouds in the sky in all of our 13 days up until today. And of course, all of those clouds started to bunch up and get darker, and then it started thundering. And we were, like I said, on a bald, so we started to get kind of sketched out, and we decided to leave. And that was, oh gosh, we had been there at least an hour and a half. Tent was set up, sleeping bags were out. But we decided that it wasn't a really good idea to be up there if the storm was going to come rolling in. So we packed up, and as soon as we made it to the first set of trees, we started feeling raindrops. So it ended up being a good move. And I think that we totally jinxed it. We are the reasons why it started raining today. But so we went and continued for about another hour and 2.5 miles downhill to where we are right now. The mosquitoes are terrible. It's thundering. It hasn't really started raining, but it's super cloudy out. We had to make dinner outside, but then eat it in here. We have our dinner here on a rock because we didn't want it to melt the bottom of our tent. So we're seeking refuge from the pending storm and the hellacious mosquitoes. But I'm trying to think if anything else crazy happened today. Oh, a buck was really close to the trail. Really, really close, maybe 20 feet. and he let me take 2 film photos of him. So cute. Otherwise, today just kind of felt like a victory lap. It was super easy. We ended up doing more mileage just in an effort to get off of that bald, which has set us up to have about 8 or 9 miles for tomorrow to set us up for Mount Whitney. So I think we're going to sleep in tomorrow. And since I always mention dessert, I will be having peanut M&Ms, and Owen's going to have a Snickers almond.
You didn't say what was for dinner.
Oh, and dinner. What was for dinner? Yeah. So we have started doing, we really like these Mountain House dinners. So we did a chicken fajita bowl, and then we did a pack of Idahoan garlic mashed potatoes. And when the mashed potatoes are done, mixed in the pot, then you add in the Mountain House chicken fajita bowl over the top of it, and it is a dream. It's so good. I highly recommend it. Came up with that idea after eating those 2 things separately a couple nights ago, and then I was like, next time they're going to be layered and delicious. And that was right. But anyways, I think that's it. Hopefully tomorrow it doesn't rain on us. Hopefully tonight it doesn't rain on us. And tomorrow should be an easy day. We'll sleep in. We might find a nice spot to have an official breakfast and some coffee tomorrow on our leisurely hike to set us up for Mount Whitney. It's crazy that we're finally here, but it's happening. Hey guys, end of day 14. I'm going to give you the stats and then we'll dive into the details. So this morning we started at 6:47 in the morning, so a little bit later. We did sleep in. We hiked for 6 hours and 13 minutes. We covered 8 miles. Our highest elevation, which is where we currently are right now, is 12,116 feet. And our lowest elevation was where we camped last night at 10,433 feet. We ascended 2,549 feet, and we descended just 912. So last night, where I believe we left you, there was some potential storms rolling in, and they did. We got rained on for a couple of hours before bed. Luckily, it stopped raining before we actually fell asleep. But when we woke up this morning, we didn't set an alarm because we knew that we didn't have that far to go. But everything was soaked. Tent, sleeping bag, the whole 9 yards. But we went ahead and packed everything up and hoped that the weather would be nice today so we could dry everything out once we finally got to camp tonight. It ended up being a kind of rainy, cloudy, overcast day. And so our plan was to stop at Trail Crest, which is just 2 miles down from the summit of Mount Whitney, because we are going to be finishing this trail a whole day early tomorrow. So that was our plan, but since the weather was looking really threatening, we decided to stop at Crabtree Meadows on our way up towards Mount Whitney today to stop and talk to our ranger about what the weather situation was. And unfortunately, it's not looking that great through the rest of the week and a little threatening. I don't remember the exact percentages of rain, but it's pretty much looked like this all day and has rained on and off all day. We've even had some thunder and lightning. So we decided to get to Guitar Lake, which is a very popular camping spot just down from Mount Whitney, and to kind of take a break there and see if we potentially wanted to camp there or maybe even go up a little bit further, because there's one camp spot between Guitar Lake and Trail Crest. And so when we got to Guitar Lake, we decided that any bit of hiking that we could do today instead of tomorrow, really, really early in the morning, we were going to do it. So we're just shy of the switchbacks right now at our camp spot. And this is where we're going to be staying tonight, and going to be going to bed really early today just because we're going to be waking up really early to summit Mount Whitney for sunrise. Otherwise, we had our breakfast skillet as a breakfast siesta and some Vietnamese and Korean coffee mixed together for a morning siesta early on in our hike. But for dinner, we had pad thai, and we both had a Snickers bar, and then we split a Twix because we were feeling spicy or something. I don't know. But otherwise, I think that's about it. Oh, and one more thing. Towards the end of our hike today, we started to talk about if we were ready for this to be over. And I think that up until day 8, I felt like I was really going to be excited to be done with this. That sounds bad, but I think I was going to be excited for it to be over. But the last couple of days, so like the last, however many days since day 8, I've really started to fall in love with the process of just waking up and having nothing to do but walk, and being really disconnected feels very luxurious these days because of all of our work that requires us to be connected all the time. But I am ready to be clean. I know Owen's ready to be clean. We're ready to have Luna back. But I don't think that we'll ever be ready to give up all the beautiful things that we've seen along the way.
Hey guys, day 15. Here are the stats and then we'll dive into the details. So we started at 2:48 a.m. We were on trail for 10 hours and 24 minutes. We covered 14.7 miles. Our highest elevation was 14,505 feet. Our lowest elevation was 8,352 feet. We started at an elevation of 12,110 feet. We ascended 2,867 feet. We descended 6,371 feet. So our goal this morning was to wake up at 2:15 because we were in the shadows of Mount Whitney. And we really wanted to be on the summit for sunrise. So we figured if we wake up at 2:15, no, I guess it was 2:30 was the original plan, 2:30. We set an alarm, but we ended up hearing voices go by and seeing headlamps go by, and we decided that, you know what, we weren't getting any more sleep, so we decided to get up. We ended up being on trail by 2:48, as I mentioned. We immediately dove into the first set of switchbacks to get up to Trail Crest, which was that spot that we were initially trying to camp at the night before. Glad we didn't push for it because we never really saw any viable campsites anyways. So it took us about an hour to get up to Trail Crest, putting us, I guess, at 3:40 roughly. And we ditched my pack and most of Owen's gear. So I carried my camera, my fanny pack, 2 rolls of film, and Owen had his backpack, 2 liters of water, and our snacks and his camera. And then we had the last 1.9 miles to hit the summit of Mount Whitney. It was a pretty easy climb to do in the dark, I will say. It's pretty well established. It's very clear where the trail is, although if you're uneasy with heights, I could see it as being a challenging section of trail. Luckily, we had our headlamps and the moon did come out as we were getting close to Trail Crest, so we had a good bit of light to guide us on our way up. We also heard the most insane thing I have literally ever heard in my life, and there was across the valley, I heard a massive rock slide. I don't think it was ice because there wasn't a whole lot of it left, but it sounded like rocks were falling for a good couple of minutes. It was insane. So most of the trail up to Mount Whitney is completely free of snow or ice. There was one little section of snow, which was very much ice by the time we got to it because it was still very frozen from overnight. It was pretty slick, but we managed to make our way through. And before we knew it, we were on the summit at 4:58 a.m. this morning. It's the 24th of July. It was incredible. We were a whole hour early for the sunrise, but we did manage to catch first light. We were the 4th and 5th person to be on the summit this morning. And we decided to wait the entire hour until sunrise so we could photograph the sun coming up. I'm so glad we did. It was pure magic. The light was amazing. And in my opinion, I don't think that I could ever imagine if I was going to do Mount Whitney again, it would have to be for sunrise. It was breathtaking to see all of those mountains get bathed in first light. Yeah, so we ended up being up there for about an hour and 10 minutes. And over the course of that time, the wind picked up and it got so insanely cold that by the time we left to go down, we had completely lost any sort of motor function in our hands. The one unfortunate thing was when we left my pack and most of Owen's gear was we left all of our warmer clothes, our second jacket, beanie, the whole nine. And we didn't have gloves, but kind of wish we did because it was so insanely cold.
When we decided to push down, we practically did it at a run to try to warm our bodies up, but we didn't have much luck. We kept stopping at all of these little points along the way that had beams of sun, and we would like solar charge ourselves and then run to the next one. When we finally got back to Trail Crest, we fumbled around with our gear until everything was resorted, and then it was time to start heading down to Whitney Portal. Whitney Portal, that hike down it's amazing to me that people do it going up. I mean, we came however many miles, 210 miles to Mount Whitney, and it still felt like a challenge just going down. The 99 switchbacks are no joke. Luckily, they were bathed in full light, so we were able to warm up on our way down and then strip down to lighter layers, shorts, and a t-shirt for the rest of the hike down after those switchbacks. Otherwise, it gave us a really good time just to reflect and cruise. We called it our victory lap on our way down. One man did ask me if we were finishing up the John Muir Trail, and I told him that we were, and he asked us how it was. And I don't think I have words for it. It took us 3 years to get these permits, and it was everything that we hoped it was going to be. It was beautiful. I'm not ready for it to be over. I feel lucky that I was able to see it. I feel lucky to live in a country that protects such beautiful places. And I just feel like I'm just happy to know that they exist out there, even if I can't be with them every single day. But after making it down to Whitney Portal, we had our sights set on a bacon cheeseburger at the cafe, and as soon as we got to the patio of the cafe, the skies absolutely opened on us, and we were like, this kind of sucks, but then we were like, it's kind of fitting. And it's also really good that this didn't happen up on Mount Whitney. So we got our bacon cheeseburger, and I told them that I had been craving pickles for the last 15 days, and they gave me 4 pickle spears. I was very excited about that. We cleaned our plates, weren't even full, got back to the truck. We headed down into Lone Pine and we got a shower at the hostel. And now we're here at Tuttle Creek, where we just made dinner of simple bean and cheese quesadillas and a Caesar salad and a Pacifico, all of which are things that we've craved at one point or another over the last 15 days. We did finish the trail early, but it feels like it was the right cadence for us. We did it in our own time, and I wouldn't trade this experience in for anything. And for our final dessert, a leftover bag of Reese's Pieces.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed our time on the John Muir Trail. We know we did. It was an incredible time, and we kind of maybe wish that we had taken more time to do it. We wanted to use the John Muir Trail as kind of a gauge to see if through hiking or long distance hiking was going to be something that we're interested in. And this trail has definitely taught us that it is something that we are wanting to do a lot more of in the future. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys down the road.